Welcome to another lecture in the 6-step relational database design e-learning series. In this lecture, we will explore step 3 of the 6-step relational database design process, create simplified entity relationship diagram. We will begin by describing what is a simplified entity relationship or ER diagram. Next, we will discuss how to create the simplified ER diagram. Finally, we will examine a case study and walk through the process of creating the simplified ER diagram. What is a simplified ER diagram? A simplified ER diagram refers to a diagram that includes entities and their relationships but excludes optionality and cardinality details. These relationship constraints are discussed in subsequent lectures. The notation used in these lectures aligns with standard conventions. Entities are represented by rectangles and relationships by diamonds. Each rectangle contains the name of the entity at the top, followed by its primary key, indexes, and other relevant attributes, and the diamond includes the name of the relationship. The diagram shown illustrates this notation. How to create the simplified ER diagram. Here is what we need to do in order to create the simplified ER diagram. Create the entities, rectangles, and relationships, diamonds, and connect them according to the associations derived in the EE matrix. Use separate diagrams to display application-level relationships and CRUD-related relationships for better organization and readability. Here is an example of a simplified ER diagram. You may need to rearrange the layout of the diagram to reduce clutter and avoid confusion. For entities that have relationships with themselves, unary relationships, you can either represent the entity more than once on the diagram or clearly show the relationship feeding to and from the same entity. Case study. The following case study will be used to demonstrate the steps previously outlined to create the simplified ER diagram. It is the same case study that was previously used and that will be used throughout these lectures. In this case study, a corporate office intends to implement a digital front desk solution to assist receptionists in managing key administrative functions for senior management staff. In addition, the application must support role-based access control, ensuring that users can only access features appropriate to their roles. User login activity must also be logged, and the application should include basic auditing features such as tracking who created or modified records and when. Here is a list of the entities that were discovered for this case study. They are listed into two categories, the application entities and the CRUD, create, read, update, and delete entities. The application entities are the entities that are necessary for the core features of the application that do not include role-based access and auditing, whereas the CRUD entities are those necessary for role-based access and basic auditing as required by the statement of the problem. Here is what the final EE matrix looks like for this case study. It contains the entities necessary for CRUD auditing, and they are positioned at the end of the matrix. The following images display the simplified diagrams that were developed as part of the solution to the scenario described in the case study. These diagrams serve to visually represent the relationships and structure we have derived from our analysis. To make them easier to view and understand on screen, they have been divided into separate sections and will present them one at a time. The first group of diagrams focuses on the relationships at the application level. These are the core interactions between the main entities in the system and reflect the functional structure of the application. As each diagram is shown, feel free to pause the video so that you can take a closer look and examine the details more thoroughly. This will allow you to follow the relationships, entities, and attributes more clearly and see how they were derived from the requirements in the case study. The final set of diagrams will show the CRUD-level relationships. These diagrams highlight how users will interact with the data, specifically how data will be created, read, updated, and deleted, and by whom. If at any point you would like to review the diagrams outside of the video, a complete version of the solution has been provided as a downloadable PDF handout. This document includes all the diagrams in their entirety and can be used for closer inspection, note-taking, or future reference as you continue to study the 6-step relational database design process. Here is a summary of what we covered in this lecture. A simplified ER diagram refers to a diagram that includes entities and their relationships but excludes optionality and cardinality details. The notation used in these lectures aligns with standard conventions. Entities are represented by rectangles and relationships by diamonds. Each rectangle contains the name of the entity at the top, followed by its primary key, indexes, and other relevant attributes, and the diamond includes the name of the relationship. To create the simplified ER diagram, create the entities, rectangles, and relationships, diamonds, and connect them according to the associations derived in the EE matrix. Use separate diagrams to display application-level relationships and CRUD-related relationships for better organization and readability. You can learn more about the 6-step relational database design process by visiting my website, fidelcaptain.com, by purchasing a copy of the book on amazon.com, or by downloading the ebook on Kindle.